Good morning to all of you, and a very happy new year to all of you and your family. Okay, so I hope that the starting of 2022, the first and second day was good for you people, and also at the same time, be careful because the spreading of new virus, new version of the virus is rapidly increasing. So be safe and stay at home to stay protected, right? So I hope that all the things are good from your end, your family members, and all of you are quite okay, right? So again, a happy new year to all of you. Now, so let's get started with the classes again because it is the one of the important thing that needs to be continued. Fine. So we have previously talked on the discussion of the flow control, error control, this type of thing. So where we have left from that part, we are going to start the new topic of today's class that we are going to start with. That is the topic of DLC. The topic of DLC. So what is this DLC? The full form of DLC is known as data link control. The full form of DLC is known as data link control. So this DLC or this data link control, actually what is the purpose of it? That it is dealing with the procedures for the communication between the nodes, or better to say between two adjacent nodes. So what is the role of this DLC? It deals with the procedure for communication. It deals with the procedures with the connection between, we can say, two nodes, or maybe more betterly, two adjacent nodes. Okay, so this DLC, it is actually deals with the procedures with the communication between the two nodes, or we can say two adjacent nodes, right? So this DLC have three functions basically. What are the three functions? First one, the three functions, we can say, first one is framing. Okay, second one is known as the flow control, and third one is known as the error control. Second one is the flow control, and third one is the error control. These are the three functions of DLC, data link control, that is framing, flow control, and error control, right? So now one by one we are going to talk about each of the part. First of all, we are going to start with the topic of framing. So what is this framing? So we have heard the term of this frame in our previous classes also. Means a total message is divided into a frame. Sub message, the total part of the message is divided into the subparts, and that subparts are called as frame. So we can say this frame is a group of bits, means our message is always consisting of bits, right? So the term if we are using here, that is framing. So the term framing, here a term is present, that is a frame. And what is this frame? The frame is a group of bits, we can say, a group of bits. So frame, a group of bits, we can say it is. So this frame or this framing, the term framing, it is means organizing the bits into the frame, and then it will be carried by the next layer, or it will be forwarded to the next layer for the transformation, for the transfer of the data. So this framing, it means organizing the bits into a frame that are going to be carried out by the next layer. So data link layer, and after all that there is a thing that is called physical layer. So from the data link layer, where it is actually doing the data link control things are going on, then it will be moving to the physical layer. So framing means that organizing the bits into a frame that are carried by the physical layer. And this data link layer, the previous layer of physical link layer, data link layer, where this DSC service is happening, the data link layer needs to form the frames so that each frame is distinguishable from the another, because every frame is consisting some part of the message. Each frame is consisting some part of the total message. So each frame must be distinguished from one another. So this data link layer needs to form the frames that, and each frame is distinguishable from one another. So this framing is actually separating a message from other messages, and each of these frame contains two things in the header part. The basic two things each of this is containing into the header part. What are the basic two things? First one, we can say a sender address, and second one, we can say a destination address. The two things that is consisting into the header part of this framing, that is sender address, and second one is the destination address. So these two are the important things that are present in our frame: sender address and destination address. So this destination address, we know that what is this term, where the package needs to be delivered. The destination address, it is defining that where the package needs to be delivered, and what is the part of this sender address, that the destination will know that from where the message have formed or message have coming. So the sender address to acknowledge the receipt after having or receiving the data, and receiver address to know the destinations of the address. So the thing is, there's a part or there's a question maybe come into the mind, that why we are actually distinguish the messages into the frames. Why not we can actually send one frame for the whole message, right? It can be, it may be a question that why are we doing this, breaking the message into several parts of the frames, right? We can make one frame and send the data. So why not? Because the thing is, when we are going to send a large number of data, we are trying to transfer a large number of data. So if we make it in a one frame, the large number of data, if we make it in a one frame, so the frame will be very huge, means it will be a large frame. And that large frame, when it is going to transfer from sender to the receiver side, maybe in between the communication path, maybe it has some flow control, it has some error, it has some flow problems, right? So this type of problems may comes into the scenario, and to recover the scenario from those particular problems is very tough. To find out what the problem is into the large number of frames, into the long frame, right? So that's why we are actually making the frames separately, making several frames for one message, so that we can, if any problems occur, if any flow or error control error problems happen, so we can easily identify, easily sort it out, and the transmission can happen. So in a large frame, if a single bit or if one bit also getting errored, then to find out that problem from the large number of data set and then again retransmit that data is a very hectic part. Whereas if we make it in a small frame, and at the time of sending the small frame, if there is any problem, we can find out that what frame have the problem, which frame have the problem, and what is the problem. We can sort it out and then again retransmit only that particular frame. So that's why the whole message or the total message cannot be sent or is not sent by a single frame, because the problem is mainly the control, the error and the flow problem it is there, right? So when a message is divided into several type of smaller frames, error can easily be detected, and we can actually recheck, find out the problems and sort it out, and then again retransmit that particular frame, right? So this is the part, or this is the question, that why the whole message cannot be sent or cannot be packed in one frame. Now the part here, the topic of frame, the term that is present here, frame size. What is the frame size? We are making a frame, we are making the groups of piece of the messages. Then what can be the frame size? So basically there are two type of frame size. One is fixed and second one is variable. Fixed frame size and variable frame size. So in the part of this fixed frame size or fixed size framing, we can say there is no boundaries is defined for the frame. So here in the fixed size frames, we are actually not defining any type of boundaries for the frame. The size of the frames is actually itself can be used by its own, right? So this frame, the fixed size framing, it has a particular set of framing size, and we are actually don't need to define anything for this fixed size framing. It will be automatically convert itself into that particular fixed size, right? Whereas in the variable size, what we need to do, we need to define the size of this variable frame into the scenario, into the particular frame. Then what are the frame size in the variable frame size? We need to define this at the end of the frame and the beginning of the next frame. So what can be the frame size? We need to mention it at the starting of the frame and also at the end of the frame. So there are basically two types of approaches for the variable size framing actually. First one is called character oriented approach and second one is known as bit oriented approach. There are two type of approaches that is present for the variable side. First one, character oriented approach, and second one is known as the bit oriented approach. First one is character oriented approach, second one is bit oriented approach. So these two type of approaches is present into the scenario. First one is character oriented approach and second one is bit oriented approach. Now in the part of this, what happened in the character oriented framing approach, that in general we have a concept of the data that is going to be a 8-bit character, right? So the data that is going to be part or that is going to be carried to the frames, it will be having a 8-bit characteristic approach. So the data to be carried out that are 8-bit characters for the coding system of this ASCII, means American Standard Coded for the information integer that we have. So to separate each of the frames in the variable size framing, to separate one from the next one, to separate one frame from the next one, an 8-bit flag is added. So a flag is added here, an 8-bit type of flag is added at the beginning and the end of the frame, and the flag is composed of protocol dependent and the special characters. So we can say that the total number of framing, what is the frame, it have the particular part that it have a concept. So first let me draw the scenario, the diagram of this particular, so it will be very easy to understand, right? Consist, this is the total message part, right? So I have said that there is a flag that is present at the beginning and also at the end, right? So consider this is a flag part, this is a flag part, right? Two flag parts are present at the end, at the beginning, at the end. Then there is two more thing, one is called an header and one is called a trailer. Header and trailer is what we can say, there is two things, and in the medium of this header and trailer the data will be present, the total data will be present. So if I draw the total scenario like this, so we can say this is a flag, right? We can say this is a flag, we can say this is a header, we can say this is a trailer, and this can be the data, right? So this is the concept of the character oriented approach. Now what happened in the flag and in the what present in the header and trailer part, the flag, it is actually composed of some protocol dependent special character. It is not have any protocol dependent special characters. It signals the start and the end of the frame. So whenever the starting point is happening, there is a flag, and when the end is happening of the particular frame, there is a flag. So two flags to in mentioning that the starting point and the ending point of the framing. And what this header and trailer part is actually considered, the header part is actually carries the address of the source and destination. The header part is actually carrying the address and of the source and destination and some other control information, whereas this trailer carries out the error detection and error correction redundant bits. So two scenario is there. One is for the header part, what this header is actually consists, and what this trailer is actually consists. So in the part of header, what the header consists is actually the address of the source and destination. Whereas in the trailer part, what is actually present? In the trailer part, it is present actually the error detection and error correction redundantly. Error detection and error correction redundant bits. These two things are present in the header and trailer, and flag is actually indicating the starting and the ending point of the particular frame. So this is a simple particular approach or the diagrammatical approach of the character oriented framing, or we can say much better, it is known as the variable size framing in the character oriented framing, right? Now there is a problem present here in this character oriented approach. What is the problem? Is that it is suitable, or if we can approach this character oriented approach when the data is only about of some text, when the data or the information is full of text, when the text is interchanged or exchanged between the layers. So character oriented framing is working smoothly on the particular type of the data that is having only text. But the thing is, we don't have not only the text file or text as an information, right? We have some audio, video, images, many things are there. So if we try to send this type of data, just as the audio, video, this type of thing, then the pattern used for the flag can be the part of the information. So there is a problem is that the flag and the data, it cannot be separate, right? So that's why there is a problem. So this is a drawback of this character oriented approach, because it only works mostly on the scenario of the data that is only the text, that is having only some text type of data, it is working smoothly on there, right? And there is another approach that we can say the bit oriented framing, that in the part of this bit oriented framing, the sections of the frame is a sequence of bits to be interpreted by the upper layer as text audio. So the character oriented approach, it is actually dealing with the text, and whereas the bit oriented approach, it can be part of the any type data, the audio, video, images, any type of data can be the part of this bit oriented approach. So mainly the thing is that what are the approaches and how it can actually, what is the particular diagram of the scenario. Now the part here after the framing, that is known as flow and error control. The next part that is actually present here, that is the flow and error control. So what happened in the part of the flow and error control? So the DLC or this data link control is actually means responsible for the purpose of this flow and error control. So this flow control, whenever anything is actually generating any data, or whenever it is generating something, the scenario is that there should be a balance from the generator side and from the who is going to consume that, right? Means we can say a client server, or we can say investor and the consumer, this type of scenario, right? So whenever we in basic terms, we can say that whenever a thing is actually produced, whenever an item is going to be produced and someone else is actually trying to consume them, there should be a balance. What is the balance? That the rate of the production and the consumption should be almost a near about scenario. It is not like that the demand is huge, but the supplier cannot supply that. Also, the supplier is the supplying is very huge, but the demand is not too good, right? So in that both of the case, that is a loss. So the scenario is there should be a balance, always a balance in between of the scenario. So this flow, this is as a term of the flow control. One is actually producing and the same the demand have on it, that there is a demand of that particular product. So that's why we can control the flow of the data. So if the items is that is going to be produced faster than they consume, then the consumer part, there is a less demand on that, right? So that's why there is a huge supply of the product, but no one is actually trying to consume that particular product. Also, the vice versa, the supplier is not able to supply that needed demand from the consumer side. So that's why the balance needed there, a balance should be there to control the flow. That is the simple example I have given here, we have discussed here about the flow control. This is just a simple example in one single line. What is the main idea behind the flow control? What is the main idea behind this flow control? So this flow control from the sender side, the data link layer, there is two part actually, sender and receiver. Consider that the sender part is the supplier and the receiver part is our consumer, right? So suppose this is a part of the sender, this is the part of the receiver. So sender and the receiver, some sort of data flow is happening, right? Some sort of data flow is happening. So this sender is the part of the data link layer from where the data is actually going to be part. So we can say data link layer. This is our sender side or the sending node, we can say. The term we can add here is a sending node. And in the part of their receiving, that is a receiving node. Okay. Fine. So the data flow is happening. So what happened that from the sender side in the data link layer, the frames are going to be forwarded towards the data link layer of the receiving node. So it means that the data link layer from the sender side, it is going to the physical layer of the sender side, and then it is actually getting transferred to the opposite physical layer of the receiving side, and then it is producing in the data link layer. So this is the process ultimately. So at the sending node, the data link layer tries to push the frames or sending the frames from the data link layer at the receiving node. Now, the receiving nodes, if the receiving nodes cannot process and deliver the packet to the particular network, to the proper network at the same rate, then the frame arrives, it will be overwhelmed with the frames. Means the scenario I'm talking about, suppose from the sender side, the data is going to the receiver side, right? Now, the rate, the speed I'm talking about, the rate means the speed by which the sender is sending the data to the receiver side. If it does not match with the speed of the receiver, so means that happened, what happened? The sender is sending the data is going continuously, but the receiver part in the side of the receiver, it is not able to process or continue the scenario at the same speed, at the same rate of speed that the sender is using. So what happened? That in the receiver side, the data will be overwhelmed. The data will be flooded, right? So that's what the problem. So the balance needs to be kept in between, a synchronization needs to be there in between the sender and the receiver side. This is the term, this is known as the flow control. This flow control is the part or the feedback we can say from the receiving nodes to the sending node to stop or slow down, right? So when the sender is sending a huge number of frames at the same time to the receiving node, so if it is matches or synchronized with the same speed, then it is there is no issue. But if it is not matching, then the receiver from the receiver end, it is actually giving some signal for the stop or the wait, whatever it can be, or to slow down so that it can be synchronized, the data can be processed properly. Now the question is, suppose the receiver is not getting match or having no synchronization with the sender speed. So the data will be overwhelmed in the receiver side. The receiver will send some signal for the stop or slow down, right? Or the wait. Then where the sender or where the message is going to be kept, right? Because it needs to be stored somewhere from where it is going to be processed. That's where the scenario comes here, the term that is present here that is known as the buffers. That is known as buffers. So these buffers where the data are actually being stored for the time being for the further process. So we can say this buffer is a set of memory locations that can hold the packet from the sender and the receiver. Means it is holding the packets of the data from the sender and the receiver side so that it can be processed when the scenario will be again started or the processing part be done. So there are two buffers, one buffer in the sender side and one buffer in the receiver side. Two buffers is present, one buffer in the sender side and the receiver side, and this flow control communications can occur by sending some signals from the receiving to the sender side, and the buffer, when the buffer of the receiver is full, it informs the sender to stop or sending the frames, right? So sender is sending the frames, right? It will be going to be stored where? In the buffer of the receiving side, in the buffer part of the receiving side, and from this buffer part the data is going to be processed. From the buffer side the data is going to be processed to the receiver side. Now when the buffer is full, when the buffer is full in the receiver side, then only it will be sending some information to the sender to stop or wait for the time being. To stop or wait for the time being. This is the simple concept of the flow control. This is the simple concept of the part of this flow control, right? Now, in the next part, we have talked about one part here, that is flow control, right? Now there is another term also present that is known as the error control. So flow control, we have understand the basic, what is the main idea of this flow control, how we can control the flow. Now the second part here, that is known as the error control. So what happened in the part of this error control? It includes, this error control actually includes both the error detection and the error correction. So error control, it is actually includes two things. First one, error detection. Second one, error control. So this error detections and the error or is error correction, not control. We can say error correction is the better term. Error detection and the error correction, these two scenarios will be used here. So this error control allows or happening in the receiver side, or it allows the receiver to inform the sender about any damaged frame, any lost frame during the transmission. So what is the role of the error control? The error control part is actually informing the sender about any damaged packets or any lost packet, right? So from the receiver side, it is happening, informing the sender about any damaged packet or any lost packet during the transmission. If this thing happens, then it will be informed to the sender side by the receiver side. So this error control, we have the process of to finding out that any lost or damaged transmission is happening. So in the part of this data link layer, the error control is normally implemented. There is